Mike here at CBI. Today we're going to be installing our CBI Off-Road Colorado ZR2 front bumper. Let's get started. Alright, so as you can see, our front bumper is already cut on our truck, but our lines are really easy to follow. You can tell this line right here is where the original plastic piece met up to it. So you're just going to follow this line right along there. Once you get to the grill area, you're going to have to cut it just a little bit wide here and then sand it back down to get down to this flat area. And once we get to the grill, we're going to cut it about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch, just kind of in line with this right here. And then once we get the bumper on, we can go ahead and check it. And if we need to take it back off, we can mark it, retrim that again, and then we should be good. All right, so we have our bumper sitting here. Obviously, there's a few things that we need to do prior to installation, like installing our lights for fog lights. If you're gonna run those, we do have a spot for a light bar, and then obviously the winch. The only thing that really needs to go together prior to one or the other is going to be you need to put the light bar in first before you put your winch in. Otherwise, you're just not going to really be able to fit it in there. So we'll go ahead and get started and start explaining how we put things together. All right, so one of the first things you're going to want to do is we have these trim pieces that are going to come right along here. They're pretty simple to install. They'll probably be a little bit longer than what you need. Butt it up against this end first and then start putting it on, come around, get all the way to your edge, and then you're going to go ahead and just kind of cut it off at an angle is all. Just helps follow the line there on the bumper. Push it back on and do that. Repeat it on the other side, and that's all that takes. All right, so our little covers for our fog light areas, these are specific side to side. You can kind of see how this one dips down. It's going to kind of follow the contour right there. To put these in, they're pretty simple. You're going to have some hardware that's going to go in. You're going to slide them in like this and then push it back around, and then you can see those line up, and they're just going to sit in there just like that. All right, so we have our fog light brackets here. We are putting some Baja designs in there. So we're just gonna mount those straight to these, and these are going to mount right up to the bumper here, and they are adjustable for height and then in and out. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. All right, so getting ready to put our light bar in again before we put our winch in. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to fit it in there. I've got this one kind of already set up with some washers and stuff to fit in there perfectly. So we're going to go ahead and slide this in. Set it kind of in place and tighten it down just a little bit to get it to hold where we want it, and then we can kind of adjust it from there. All right, now once the light bar is set in place, you got it where you want it, centered in the grill, all that. We can go ahead and move on to installing the winch. All right, prior to installing your winch, you're gonna wanna install your fair lead first. Our winch is actually pre-spooled already because we've had it in our half bumper. So we're just gonna pull this through. We're gonna set this in here. And so if your winch is not pre-spooled, like a synthetic rope. Most of them do not come. You're going to want to go ahead and put this on anyways, and then you're just going to put it through before you put your winch in place, and get it tied into the winch, and then set your winch in place. And then once you're all done, then you can go ahead and spool your winch. All right, so we are putting a Warren Xeon synthetic in this. If you haven't installed a winch before, they're pretty simple, straightforward. Warren's has these small nuts that we're going to slide into their slots in here. And we're going to go ahead and set the winch up. Going to line that up and come around. And we're going to put the bolts in right through the bottom. All right, we're going to slide the winch just all the way forward in those slots. It does make it a little bit easier to install. You know, it's got the slots in it. But we're going to go ahead and move it all the way forward and then tighten it down. All right, so once you got all of your accessories installed, you're ready to put the bumper on, and we'll get to that. Once you get the bumper on there, you're definitely going to want to have a friend to help you get it up there. You get the 2 bolts in from the side, and the bumper pretty much stays in place. It, you know, has that movement in it. So once you get those in, you can kind of push this back up, and then you can get your 2 final bolts on the inside. One of the harder bolts to get to if you have a winch is going to be this inside lower one. Down in there, if you have a winch, it only gives you about that much space to work with. And so it is kind of a pain, but you can get them down in there. All right, so once we have the 2 bolts on each side on the front in place, we can go ahead and take the nuts and we can put them on our bolts that we stuck through on the bottom side. All right, we just want all this stuff hand tight for now until we have everything in place, and then we can kind of adjust if we need to move it, you know, a little bit up or down, and we can go ahead and tighten everything down. So to install the fender liner back in place, we do have a small hole here, but unfortunately, as you can see, it doesn't exactly line up with the original hole. I've already pulled the J-hook out of place, so I'm just going to go ahead and lay it up against there, kind of push it up a little bit, find the spot, mark it, and I'm just going to re-drill another hole in there, and I'm just going to slide this back in place, and then we'll install it from the back. All right, to find that hole, all I've done is just used a small little pick that I have, and I just kind of found the spot, poked through, just to mark it, and then I'll make it just a little bit bigger for the screw to go through, and we'll put that back in. So we are going to have to trim this a little bit, just kind of follow this line and down. I just got a pair of scissors. I'm just going to cut right through this. Trim that out, and we can go ahead and fold this back behind here. Put one of our screws back in there. And that is back in place. And we'll finish trimming this here and tie that up out of place. All right, so what we're gonna do to finish trimming this off is I'm gonna trim just about right across here, and then we're gonna kind of fold it up under and maybe drill a hole there, and then we're going to zip tie that out of place, and it's going to just kind of keep the rest of it up and out. All right, and that pretty much concludes the installation of the CBI Off-Road ZR2 front bumper. Anything more to this is you're just going to be wiring your accessories. If you have any questions or concerns, give us a call or email us here at CBI Off-Road. Thanks.